Back to Primitive Organic Garden this morning. It is February 27th. I planted some zinnias and sunflowers in this box the other day. I haven't seen any sprouts yet, but hopefully in the next couple days. I was very surprised to learn recently that sunflowers are actually frost tolerant as young plants, which is super cool. But this was just scrap lumber that was not in good shape, and I ended up making this box out of it. Pretty giant flower box. It was heavy, not good for my back, but it was a fun project. It took me about 4 hours to build it, painted it. It's going to beautify the hood a little bit here. This is one of my favorites recently. Purple kale, that green rye around it. But yeah, it's been a little while since we did a garden tour, so hey little farm dog. Let's go see what's going on in the garden. I don't know what this is, but I rescued it. Somebody was tossing this a few years ago, and it was like at the curb, and I just adopted it, stuck it in the front yard. If anybody knows what this is, please comment. Oh, I accidentally scared off the honeybee. The honeybee on the radish flower. This is the front yard raised bed that gets destroyed by dollarweed, and I have to go through it usually once a year and get all the dollarweed roots out. All the radishes that were in here as a cover crop are now flowering. There's a couple that are actually going to be contenders for largest radish this year. I mean, that's a decent sized one right there. There's also some onions in here, some mustard. I think we looked at these kale plants a few weeks ago when they weren't quite this enormous. The color of that one is just really interesting. This one's just a little bit more basic. Let's see, our purple mustard. It's doing all right. There's some dollarweed creeping in here too, though. I got a couple more radishes over here. There's some kale plants in the front. So this is kind of funny. This kale plant here is where my dog likes to pee every morning. And look at the difference in the grass there. There's also a random patch of really vigorous dark green grass here too. Probably from my neighbor's dog. This one isn't quite as pronounced, but you can see the purple kale there and the extra vigorous grass next to it. This kale collard hybrid plant now is 2 years old. This was planted in March of 2019. It's pretty wild. Need to do something with this olive bush. Pretty excited for these Japanese flat unzen onions. Probably will have cilantro for a few more weeks, then it'll be too hot. Gotta harvest all these daikons. This is an eggplant that I overwintered, and it was in pretty bad shape. Had a lot of like aphid and spider mite damage on the leaves and bacterial spots, and I ended up pruning it down to nothing and then gave it a heavy dose of fertilizer, so we'll see what happens. Not really sure why these onions never took off. Nothing in this one pot seems to be doing well. This is probably going to be flowers for the summer because it's probably smart not to eat things that grow in pallets. Been picking broccoli off this plant. Still got all the leeks along the fence line. This is a tray of beets and bok choy. Look how vigorous that is. These were left in the greenhouse last week when it got up to 102. They seem to have survived pretty well. This is a Detroit yellow golden beet, and really good looking bok choy there. These are all onions that we started from seed on December 31st, if you recall. Oh, you know what? I haven't even uploaded that. I was gonna film a complete onion grow guide, but I wanted to wait until I had all the different parts of it. But yeah, these are onions that are, I guess, almost 60 days old. Got some sunflowers here. Hey, farm dog. Hey, farm dog. You a good farm dog? This is some Morris heading collards. Really excited about those. They did not mind the 100-degree temperatures in the greenhouse the other day, weren't even phased. Got some Bright Lights chard. The green magic broccoli was pretty well decimated by heat stress and drought stress when it got up to 102. Some of it looks like it bounced back, but not really sure how early life stresses in broccoli affect the ability for it to make nice flower heads. Gotta figure out what to do with this random volunteer strawberry in this awful dollar store bucket. Let's see what's going on in the greenhouse today. This is a bunch of random nonsense now. This was supposed to be beets, and I think mole crickets and mice ate all the beet seeds. There's a couple beets that have come up, but there's also volunteer comfrey, random grass weeds, clover, random other weeds, cilantro. There's onions in here. Mint rhizomes keep creeping in here. There's a bit of a fire ant problem at the moment. Nothing in this tray is sprouted yet. It was sitting inside in like the 60-degree house though. This is it's all cucurbits, but it's mostly stuff that either was older seed or stuff that I'm not too worried about, which is why it's planted now in February, rolling the dice a little bit. Some sunburst F1 scallops, Atlantic giant pumpkin, some brandy yellow tomatoes that I have plenty of seed for, blue Hubbard squash, French cantaloupes, green scallop squashes. Purple mustard seemed to have bounced back from the heat stress. Brandywine yellow tomatoes looking fine. It's a nice potato leaf variety there. Some more sunflowers popping up. This tray is all purple tomatillos. I think I see the first sprout back there. There's also some random ryegrass in there. But yeah, the tomatillos are finally starting to sprout. Purple tomatillos. Looks like the fire ant issue's getting worse. It's hard to put down fire ant granules in a greenhouse. I used organic and non-organic, but the humidity in here, it's pretty tough. The fire ant killer doesn't work if it gets wet. It's only 90 in here this morning. It was 102 the other day, but that was in the middle of the day. So today's forecast is 82, which means if I leave the door closed, it'll be 110 in here easy. So I got to keep the door open today. Probably a good day to go ahead and cut this back door open. I built it and never cut the plastic. Really cool volunteer chocolate habanero down here. Alright, let's see what else is going on. Interesting little ryegrass patch I got going on here. It's kind of fun. I spent like $100 on ryegrass seed this year like a fool, just to have something pretty to look at. You can see the ryegrass is all in the pathways and in random spots. Finally starting to see some progress on this raised bed. This was mint, lemon balm, sunchokes last year. Had a couple tomatoes and peppers in here, but they just got destroyed by the sunchokes. Right now it's a couple rows of radishes, a row of purple mustard microgreens, some spinach, and quite a few onions. This is where I think I'm gonna have to plant my squash this year, just because I don't have anywhere else to plant squash. And this soil isn't particularly great. It's only probably 4 to 6 inches of compost and nice soil, and under that it's just clay, but hopefully the squash will be all right. Last year I planted squash in this bed, and this is a nice big raised bed, deep soil, really productive, but I don't want to do it here 2 years in a row. This is all onions right now. Close to 300 onions in here. A couple different varieties, the Japanese flattens in, some French onion, red burgundy onions. Those are all from seed, and then from starts there were sweet yellow onions, some Vidalia type. Yeah, you can see all the onions in here. They're starting to have some weed pressure now. I don't know if these are too closely planted or not. I also didn't fertilize them, but oh well. Onions, and then there's some garlic on the far end. Look at these mustard plants. It's a nice looking kale. This is peas and carrots, like Jenny and Forrest. Carrots are kind of being slow. This bed does get a lot of shade. I need to go ahead and put up some twine for these peas to climb. Oh, I forgot to harvest this asparagus. Whoops. Blueberry bushes are putting out leaves. Yeah, here's the other view of the onions. This is where I said I had the squash last year. Not sure what to do about this comfrey here. Seems like it's a big mess of just comfrey. I don't use comfrey for anything, but I'm sure the soil is really fertile now. Tried to trim back the blackberries this year. Maybe I'll actually get some harvest off of these. Wildlife tends to get them usually. Hope y'all can see things. I know it's really hard with the intense morning sun, the glare. This is all mint, so much mint. One of my biggest mistakes as a young gardener 15 years ago was planting mint. I didn't even have it in the ground, I had it in pots, and then like the roots escaped and now it's everywhere. Lettuce is so slow, but it finally is getting to a point where it might be harvestable. Pretty color though. I don't know why I planted lettuce. It was like a free seed pack I got. I want to say this is a Tom Thumb lettuce, maybe some buttercup in here, one little red oak leaf, some more ryegrass in these pathways, and radishes. It's a nice looking radish. Maybe you can see the onions better this way without the glare from the sun. And I'm gonna have a lot of onions. This collard plant is 2 to 3 years old and is now a big woody stem, but hasn't flowered yet. This is probably gonna be my winner in terms of radishes this year. Some garlic, throw a lot of garlic. Leek. Some collards and kale and onions. Here you can see those better from the other side. All that nice ryegrass. Loquat tree is gigantic. It had flowers on it this year, but I think most of the fruit's aborted because of multiple freezes. Got all this cleaned up recently. Came back here with a weed whacker. Took a couple hours. Got all this cleaned up. There's a ton of lemon balm as ground cover here. Potatoes are sprouting. Yeah. All them onions. I wasn't kidding. I got like 400 onions this year. Just planted onions everywhere. Hey, farm dog. What you doing, bud? What you doing? Doing farm dog stuff? He's a father now. He'll be bringing home his daughter in a week or two. He had 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son. I'm gonna try to keep this excessively dry this year, and maybe I'll actually get a strawberry or 2. Pretty excited for all the wild strawberries over here. Feel like they don't get eaten by wildlife as quickly. Oh look, more onions. These are gonna be ready pretty soon. Quite a bit of Sida pressure, and also there's dollarweed. But these onions are starting to get to the point where I think they're gonna be bulbed up soon. They get a lot of sunshine. Clay pot crazy tower. I really enjoy this for some reason. I know it's a big waste of time and money, but it's kind of fun. It gets people interested in gardening. I've had 3 or 4 people ask me about it already. There's a really bad dollarweed problem over here, and I'm trying to see if the clear tarping will take care of that. Might take a year or so, but we'll see. All these pots of arugula, most of these were bell peppers last year, and when frost killed the peppers, I just threw arugula seed on top. And the arugula did really well for a while. It's still doing pretty good. Come out here and harvest a lot of that for salads and pizza. But the hot weather's going to be getting to it soon. Hey, little kale plant. Yeah, you can see the dead bell peppers from last year in here. Every once in a while, these will re-sprout from, if there's still some green. That one does not look like it has any green under there, but sometimes if there's some green, you'll see sprouts even from a plant that looks completely dead. This dill got some weird disease this winter. Not sure what, but like lots of yellowing and browning of the leaves. But yeah, so all these pots here, these are nice big fabric pots, and they're all full of just arugula. Because they were bell peppers last year, I don't want them to be something like tomatoes this year. It's too close. So if anybody has any ideas of what to plant in here, I don't really like to do beans in containers because they don't yield well usually. I can't do anything nightshade in these. Right now I just threw basil seed in here on top of the arugula, and maybe that'll come up in a few days. But that's a ton of really nice real estate to devote to just basil. So if anybody has any ideas for what else I could put in these, if not, I'll think of something. But they're big, but they're too small for like squash, I'd say. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I could just do corn in them. That'd be silly. This is already corn. I keep telling myself every single year I'm gonna stop planting corn. I don't know why I keep doing it. This is a gigantic, like 30 or 40 gallon tree planter, mostly full of just leaves and topsoil, and I stuck 12 corn seeds in there. The variety we're doing this year is called Butter and Sugar. I have no idea why I picked that. I think it was just on sale on Amazon. I got 100 seeds for like $4. It's a 1950s mid-Atlantic early season F1 hybrid. I think it's a hybrid. Yeah, I'm almost positive it is. Early season, good cold tolerance. I think it makes fairly small plants, like 7-foot plants, 1 to 2 ears per plant, 7-inch cobs with 14 rows of parallel kernels. It's a bicolor corn. I want to say it was 73 days. So pretty quick, and because it was developed in the mid-Atlantic and I'm growing it here in the deep south, I can plant it in February and hopefully it'll be fine. But anyway, I think that's most of the garden. We looked at this new flower box from the other side a few minutes ago. We looked at my favorite. I'm not even going to eat any of this just because I enjoy looking at it so much. More onions in deep shade. This is where peas were and beans were the last like 3 years continuously, so really good soil there. Still got some stuff I need to clean up. I did finally clean out the shed. Still got a few things to work on over here. But yeah, I think that's most of the garden. We looked at all the really exciting stuff. Giant tropical fruit tree. Hopefully I don't have to bring in the house anymore. Oh, that was awful for my back. That thing's in a 40-gallon pot. These don't seem to be turning completely orange very quickly. Tons of green still on them, and it's way past season. Very confused about that. Another dwarf Tomatillo. This one doesn't look nearly as happy. It was inside all winter, just came out recently. But alright, well thank you all for tuning in today, and hopefully this was a more interesting garden tour than we have been getting the last couple months with it being so wet and cold. But I think winter's finally over. Wow. We're down to 85 with the door open, but it's still like 8:39 in the morning, so I really need to go ahead and cut this back door open today, or we're gonna have another heat-related issue in here where we lose a bunch of plants. But it's nice for me because I'm a sun-loving creature, and I can come out here in February and just bask in 100-degree temperatures. I think that's probably really good for my immune system, getting out here and getting plenty of sunshine and sweating. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in today, and I will be putting out the complete onion grow guide very soon. I wanted to film every part of it before I uploaded any of it. You know, everything from planting the onion seeds, planting some onion sets, transplanting onion seedlings, watching them grow for a bit, and then I'll probably film the final portion of the video the day I harvest the first onion, and then go ahead and put it all together and upload it. Look at this piece of ryegrass trying to pretend it's an onion. There's 2 of them there. You almost don't notice them as weeds because they look very similar to the crop. Just pinch those off there. I think we got all the ryegrass out of here. I'm gonna end the video with the bok choy because I'm so surprised and impressed how awesome it's doing.